Yep. Nice. Good.
Hello world! I never knew Osaka had such a nice castle. And not only the castle itself, but the park surrounding it. The grounds are massive, which makes it a great running course for joggers. The whole area, besides inside the castle itself and the Nishinomaru Gardens, are open 24/7 and are free to enter. If you visit Osaka, Osaka Castle Park is a must visit. And there will assuredly be a lot of people visiting Osaka, Japan's third largest city, since it'll be hosting the World Expo 2025, or will have hosted it depending on when you're watching this. Another must visit in my books is the Yamamoto Noh Theater. It's located in the center of Osaka, near Osaka Castle. I'll be honest, before this, I had only seen Noh briefly on TV and online, and it looked quite boring to me. Cool masks and costumes, but I figured the performances would be quite formal and use old Japanese that would be hard for me to understand. So, when I was offered the opportunity to experience Noh, I was hesitant. But I decided to try it out because some special performances have English translations and backstage access to the performers, stage, costumes, and masks.
How do you feel, Greg?
And the giant relief for me was that I absolutely loved the experience.
日本人の人は脳って難しいっていう人が私はここの中ではあなたは歴史を勉強してこなかったのねみたいな歴史苦手でしょみたいな感じになっちゃうんですよね。歴史大好きやったらすごい面白いと思います。
And honestly, even if you don't like history, I think you'd have a fantastic time. To get in the theater and start that fantastic time, you have to take your shoes off and only use socks. Even our tripods needed socks. And actually, it should have been tabby socks, but they let our tripod get away with these ones. And if you want to get on the stage, which they actually let anyone do, not just people with the green pressed pennies, you need to put on tabby, those special Japanese socks. I don't know if they were being helpful or they thought I couldn't manage it, but they kindly aided me in putting them on. The stage is a sacred place, so it's not permitted to be on it barefoot or in regular socks, which is why you wear the tabi. The Yamamoto Noh Theater is a nationally registered tangible cultural property, and a unique thing about it is that it has balcony seating. Most theaters are single-story, and if you go back a couple hundred years, Noh stages were located outdoors, such as within the grounds of shrines or in the gardens of large residences. And if you go back 1,000 years, Noh wasn't even called that. 1,000 years ago, there were various arts known as sangaku that were introduced from China. After hundreds of years and many iterations, it took on the name of Noh and became popular among the samurai class. In 1593, the Supreme General Toyotomi Hideyoshi became fascinated with the art at the young age of 57. He performed in the plays himself and became a patron of Noh. And for a couple centuries after that, Noh was the ceremonial art of the government. After the Meiji Restoration in the 1860s, Noh lost its government support and almost died out. Instead of being supported by samurai, nobility and wealthy merchants became patrons, which enabled the tradition to continue on to this day. And as of 2008, Noh became a UNESCO Intangible World Cultural Heritage. So not only were we taught this history before the play started, we also got a chance to learn more about the performers.
So now I will show you the no masks. This is kogomote, the teenagers girl mask. This is wakaonna, 20s women's face.
After we learned all about the history and its performers, it was time to see an abridged 20-minute version of the play, of which I'll show you a 1-minute highlight. If you know Japanese and are wondering why you're having a hard time understanding, don't worry. They're chanting old Japanese that present-day speakers have a difficult time comprehending, which is why these title cards displayed on the wall are very handy for both Japanese and English-speaking audience members. After the performance, there was a chance for the audience to ask questions.
When the drummers are singing like woo woo, is it improvised or the same every time?
To answer her question, as there is no director, those whoops are used as a kind of beat to synchronize the players and singers. Which may make you ask why the drums aren't used to produce that beat, to which I have to say, I have no clue. The third part of the experience was the interactive one.
おのおの魅力を知っていただくためには、ご体験いただくことが何よりも大切だと思っています。
Being able to get on stage and try my hand at various aspects quite deepened my appreciation and respect for the performers. For example, with these masks, there is incredibly limited visibility.
どう思ってます？
もっとまた自分の足一足分
You're supposed to slide across the stage in a smooth manner while holding your arms out rigidly. Very unnatural. And if you don't believe me, just look at Ako and how stiff she looks. 汗が出る。
暑い。でも本当に大変これ。怖いねこれは。おー、これはすごい。
If this is an example of what a person normally sees, this is how much you can see when wearing this mask. This tiny little hole. The performers have to learn every square centimeter of the stage and know where they are at all times.
足の裏を滑らせて。そうです。そうです。お上手です。
And they actually have a little app that shows off a couple of the masks, where you can get an idea of what the mask looks like from behind. Some masks will actually have no eye holes, and instead rely on the actor to use his peripheral vision to orient himself. Talking with some of the other audience members, they seem to be having a ball.
And I like the effects.
Yeah, right.
I thought that was really cool.
The web?
The webs.
Yeah. The owner of the theater told me that the spider webs are handmade from paper, and that the artisans who make them can only produce a few per day.
Yeah, it's my first time to see a performance live, and it was like, wow, it's so much better than online.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. You need to hear the sound of the stamp on the stage because
Did you see
it
underneath
echoes.
the stage?
As I rudely interrupted her to say, you're allowed to go backstage and not only see behind it, but underneath it also. They explained to us that these jars help the sound reverberate and echo when the actors stomp on the exact spot.
The actually interesting thing is because of the history, for maintaining the history from almost 300 years. And even some of the instruments that they are using, some is all like 300 years, some 300, but they still maintain it. And that's very good.
I think this is such an important point. These instruments have been passed on with care from generation to generation for hundreds of years. Because of this tradition, when you're hearing the instrument, you can hear the same sounds that were played hundreds of years ago. And amazingly, unlike a museum where everything is behind glass, you can touch and play with these historical pieces. It feels like history come alive.
A big egg. Hold. はあ反対こっち OK
Oh, cool.
Hey, it was hot running around filming on stage.
いやー Please いやー
Yeah!
OK
Of course, Bobby, our cameraman and editor, did it without a problem right after me.
頭の上までいいですかはい
5歳からやってますので、これ一筋45年でございます。そのプロになるためにはやはり笛も大鼓も太鼓もあと歌いの方も全部お稽古して、それで舞台でお客様の前で披露できるのは小鼓です。専門です。
世襲の色の強い世界だったのですぐには入れないと。だから就職をして二足のわらじでちょっとさせてもらってて、ある時にも先生がもう仕事辞めてきなさいって言われて4年間だけ会社員やりました。代々の人が継がなかったりとか、耐えてしまったりっていうお家があったりするので、一般からも公募して入ってる人もで第一線で活躍されている方もたくさんいます。
おひゃーカモン
I almost forgot to mention that on top of the performance, you can participate in a tea ceremony and then eat the wagashi and drink the matcha.
Is mochi with uncle.
We are from Brazil, so we were discussing it's not very much possible to find with the same texture in Brazil. For me, it was very interesting. It was my first time, so it was beyond my expectation to learn about Noh. So it was very entertaining.
の名前がね、落葉なんです。落ちる葉っぱなので。
All the people at the theater were incredibly kind, helpful, and forgiving. Now, this last thing that I did, this is something that you can pay extra to experience, and is something that only I got to do that day. I was dressed up like how the performers are, not the quick drape the costume over you quickly for a few pics thing. The bowing before putting on the mask is very important. It's an expression of gratitude to the spirit of the mask's creator and the actor's predecessors who have preserved the mask and passed it down to the following generations. What I also learned when putting on the mask is that since the mask itself doesn't change, emotions are expressed through the shadows created by tilting the mask or a set pose. When they placed my hand like this, it represents me crying. When they placed my hand like this with the fan up, it represents that I'm happy.
こう表情がね全然違うんだもんね。こう傾きでね、本当だ。
So if you fall down, I will catch. Keep the eye. Yeah. Keep the face.
Just see Akko's arm.
大阪城を築城した太閤秀吉は能がすごく好きだったことで知られているんですけれども、この山本能楽堂は秀吉が作った大阪城の城下町武家屋敷地区に今は建っております。例えば江戸時代は大阪は天下の台所と言われまして、日本中のいろんなものが大阪に集まってきたんですが、それは江戸時代ですので船を使って海運で運ばれてきたんですが、その起点となる八軒家というところがこの能楽堂のすぐ近くにありまして、また江戸時代には熊野神社まで皆さんがこのお参りに行かれるということが一生に一度の思い出としてあったんですが、そういった熊野詣をする始まりもその八軒家というところで、京都からの船がそこの八軒家に天満橋に止まりまして、そこから皆さんが熊野を目指していったような道路がすぐこの隣に通っております。本当に大都会ですけれども、昔の歴史も数多く残っております。はい。
And after the entire event was done, the owners treated us to kaiseki ryori, a traditional multi-course meal. Just incredible. Thank you. And to be clear, anyone can book a meal experience like what we had, and you can even reserve the theater for a private party or meeting if you like. This Noh experience was part of the Japan Cultural Expo 2.0, which promotes the beauty and spirit of Japan. So, if you want to have a deep cultural experience like this one, they have many to choose from, so check out their website in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace. What's musical theater like where you're from?